Welcome to Electrified. It's your host, Dylan Loomis. Quick shout out to my newest patron, Samuel S. Thank you for choosing to support the channel. We have to at least touch on this because car dealers, their associations, and their donors are flat out lying. On Tuesday, Ron DeSantis just signed off on a bill prohibiting car manufacturers from using the direct sales model in Florida. This would of course prevent most automakers from selling directly to the consumer. This is supposed to start on July 1st. Other provisions in the law limit the influence car manufacturers can exert over retailer inventories and prices while protecting dealers' rights to ignore MSRPs and choose their own model mix. And no surprise, the FATA was heavily involved in writing and pushing the legislation through the state government. Luckily, there's a carve-out and an exception in this bill that allows Tesla and the likes of Rivian, Lucid, and Polestar to continue using a direct sales model. We really do need to tip our hats to people like Taylor Beal and Jeff Sharkey, who are part of the Capital Alliance group, that were actually instrumental in hammering out a deal adding language in this bill that would keep Tesla galleries open. But the legacy OEMs, GM, Ford, Honda, and Toyota, not so fortunate with the signing of this bill. This part of the bill feels directly aimed at Ford, refusing to provide a dealer with a supply of new vehicles by model, mix, or color equitable to that of other dealers is forbidden. So car manufacturers like Ford can't really choose what dealers get certain EVs and others don't. Arguably, more importantly, this bill actually forbids companies like Ford from setting required MSRP prices for the dealers, which just means the horrible negotiating process at traditional car dealers will continue in Florida. Here's where the nonsense and ultimately lying comes into play. This lobbyist for FATA said the attempt by auto manufacturers to cut out the dealer would only result in higher prices and less customer service to the public. The new car dealer is the customer's advocate when it comes to warranty work and service on a manufacturer's product, and this bill will protect that. To point one, this is just false. Cutting out the traditional dealer model actually saves consumers thousands of dollars by removing the middleman and all of that extra overhead and profit grabbing. And the translation of point two, we want to be the only place where customers can have their service done because that's where we make all of our money. Don't forget, the best service is no service. So yes, Tesla is fine here, and this bill will actually serve as a competitive advantage for Tesla because this will of course hurt the consumers of the traditional auto companies in Florida by handcuffing them to the dealership model. We got new comments from Jorg Steinbach and some other officials in Grünheide talking about the Tesla Gigafactory, basically putting to bed all of the FUD narratives that have continually been talked about. They said Elon remains a close observer of what is happening at the plant. This is certainly unusual. At Tesla, there's a startup management style where nothing works without the boss. We learn more about the Tesla speed that we oftentimes hear about. It really has to do with Tesla actually beginning construction before they got the permits, which was very unique in the area. Pause if you'd like, but in response to some of the pollution instances that happened at Giga Berlin, they said demonstrably none of those endangered people or the environment, basically saying they were blown out of proportion. Here they said Tesla's been holding information events and doing guided tours, essentially really overhauling their communication strategy with the public in Berlin, and a lot has improved on this front. They continued, the claim that Tesla uses too much water has not been proven. Tesla does not currently need the requested and approved amounts of water. So just a few tidbits, but these German officials clearly defending Tesla and speaking very highly of them. No shade here to Dan Ives, I just think it's a little funny. He said they think what's changed with Tesla stock and Wall Street is the recognition with the Ford and GM announcements that Tesla's sum of the parts valuation is now finally starting to get tapped into. To which I said, and I'm sure many of you would agree, it's about time. I just wanted to use that as a segue to yet another Morgan Stanley new Tesla stock note, just pointing out the slow rate of understanding from some on Wall Street. They say, today's gas stations pay a market price for their petroleum supply. What if Tesla made its own electricity at a near zero marginal cost and a stable cost stored on site with stationary batteries? It's not hard to see the logic of achieving dominance in the filling station of the future. What we have there is Wall Street just waking up to the reality of the Tesla supercharger network, something we really could have seen coming dating back to 2012 when the first superchargers were installed. And in fairness, Megapack and solar are in very different places now, but that's always been the plan. producing low-cost energy via renewable energy at these locations. We won't dive into this, so pause if you'd like, but Jonas walked through a few different scenarios for the supercharging model. Just FYI, no PAT is net operating profit after tax. Just one, for example, we're using 20-30 miles traveled only in the United States. If you look at the dominant case, that would assume a 30% EV mile penetration in 2030, Tesla having 80% of the supercharging revenue and a 70% of the net operating profit after tax margin. How would the margin be so high? Megapack and solar. And this dominant case scenario would give Tesla a potential net present value of $33 per share. I think many of you hear the word Surfshark VPN, today's sponsor, and just think safely surfing the web from home, a coffee shop, a hotel, or airport. Maybe some of you know you can use it to spoof your location to watch blacked out sporting events or other blocked content. Maybe you've heard if you use your credit or debit cards online or do any online banking that having a VPN like Surfshark is absolutely worth the cost for protection against hackers, malware, and spyware. Matt Farrell got me on Surfshark years ago, and I just thought to myself, I don't want to be the guy that has his identity compromised or his data hacked and tracked because I chose to be cheap and expose myself to unnecessary risks when the technology is here to prevent it. Even just from a peace of mind standpoint, I think Surfshark provides immense value for less than $3 a month if you use my link below. And it does more than just encrypt your internet activity, making everything completely private. If you fly or stay in hotels often, you should definitely at least try Surfshark to see if it can save you money by getting you better deals. You only need one subscription for an unlimited number of devices, meaning yes, my entire household is covered, and if you want a real ad-free incognito mode, Surfshark also has you covered. Checking it out would be a great way to support the channel and, more importantly, to protect yourself. You can use my code Electrified for an extra 3 months free at surfshark.deals/electrified, linked below. The courting tour of Elon Musk continues, this time in Italy. Elon had a half-hour interview with the Deputy Prime Minister Antonio Tajani, and then in the afternoon, he returned to the palaces of the Italian power to meet Giorgia Meloni. Giorgia Meloni is the Prime Minister of Italy. She just tweeted, "I welcomed Elon with great pleasure. A very fruitful meeting and a moment of great cordiality where we addressed some crucial issues: innovation, opportunities, and risks of AI, European market rules, and birth rates. Forward towards the future challenges that unite us." Per the usual, it sounds like they're talking about a little bit of everything, and we don't get a ton of detail, so we'll see what comes of it. But every time I see Elon all over the world, constantly in different meetings, and I stop and think about what he's doing, it's beyond words. And remember, Elon speaks tomorrow, Friday, at Viva Tech over in France. Last night, Tesla was tweeting about the backup switch for the Tesla Powerwall. Just want to make it clear, this isn't new. This has been around now for a few years, but there is some news going on. Drew Baglino said thanks in advance to other utility companies currently working to approve the Tesla backup switch in their territories. Basically, this is something that drastically reduces the installation time for the Tesla Powerwall. I will have this blog post below, but in short, this feature quickly and safely disconnects your home from the grid when a power outage is detected. It automatically shifts your home's energy use to backup power from your Powerwall. Tesla's backup switch, which is placed right here, actually replaces the Tesla gateway that was an innovation in its own right. And I just have to point out, what is this little ditty over here? Tesla bike foreshadowing? Here's the actual backup switch. It's a meter socket adapter that provides the metering and the automatic grid disconnect functionality of the Tesla Energy Gateway. So as this feature is continually approved by the utilities in the United States, this will of course be great for the end consumer and Tesla with those shorter installation times. Along those lines, Drew also said that Tesla is working on a VPP program for this summer for customers in Puerto Rico. Drive Tesla Canada reporting and showing us that Tesla's new service and delivery center in Vancouver, British Columbia is very close to opening. There was some confusion on this, so to clarify that, the chargers at this site will be only for Tesla, not open to the public. If you're in North America and planning to buy a Model 3 for the next 2 weeks or so, you can get 3 months of free supercharging. We got a new press release from JD Power. Won't spend much time here, but there is something worth highlighting. Based on this year's EV consideration study, the percentage of shoppers who say they are overall likely to purchase an EV has increased to 61% from 59% last year. But here's the takeaway: even if we disagree, this just is the sentiment of the general public. The biggest friction point for consideration is the availability of public charging. A resounding effort to build out and improve the public charging infrastructure will emphatically increase the EV purchase consideration. Nearly half of the shoppers rejecting the idea of buying an electric car say the primary reason is a lack of charging station availability, which obviously just adds even more weight to the recent announcements from Ford, GM, and all of the other companies talking about the NACS standard. Hopefully this wave going forward will roll out quickly. Here's a quick check-in to Tesla Scope, just looking at Tesla's FSD beta tracking. If you look at these countries over here, you can see that the testing in employee vehicles is clearly rolling out across Europe and other locations. It's exciting because this is the very beginning of what's eventually going to be a massive paradigm shift for transportation globally. Giga Berlin is planning to hire fewer temporary workers, and it will refrain from Saturday shifts, but they said it's still on track to achieve its production targets. So less workers, presumably less expensive, and hopefully the same or more production. Be careful with this one. It was from Business Insider, but they said Tesla's goal of 6,000 cars per week at the plant is currently on hold. That could mean 100 different things though, so personally I'm kind of throwing that one away. There could also be endless reasons for this, so I'm just not going to speculate. Speaking of Wall Street analysts waking up to the story years late, RBC Capital just said now, we believe robotaxis could potentially transform society more than anything else in our lifetimes. They could save millions of lives and trillions of hours. We believe this fact alone should motivate regulators to support their development as we anticipate private cars being banned in many cities around the world. It's coming. The Tesla wall connector is now $475, up $50. Here we have Rivian looking to take a page out of Neo's book, planning a collection of retail and experiential centers coming to key locations across Canada and the United States. The first space is set to open in New York City tomorrow, Friday the 16th. Visitors will be able to drive Rivian vehicles, speak with experienced specialists, and shop Rivian gear. We have a new patent filed by Ford for an electrified vehicle battery backup system, including a traction battery pack on an EV and a backup battery assembly that's removably mounted to the electric vehicle. In layman's terms, a backup battery mounted to the roof of an EV. This will be below. Don't forget, check out Surfshark, linked below if you haven't already. You can find me on Twitter at DylanLoomis22. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Please like the video if you did, and a huge thank you to all of my Patreon supporters.